سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح.
رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. Today's khutbah is dedicated to a couple of ayat that belong to Surah Yusuf, and they are particularly involving wisdom that comes from the tongue of Yaqub alayhi salam. Yaqub alayhi salam has a unique place in the Quran. Allah Azza wa Jal will describe him on a number of occasions, and one of the things that is common in all of those occasions is Yaqub alayhi salam's role as a father. He is, when the Quran talks about fatherhood in many places, somehow or the other, Yaqub alayhi salam gets mentioned. And so it's important to note some of that sunnah of his that Allah Azza wa Jal made timeless. And of course, one of the most beautiful places that Allah describes or encapsulates some of that wisdom is in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. I feel that this is important because in our day and age, education has become something that it wasn't ever before. People receive an education in the sciences, people become very educated in medicine, people can become educated in technology and other things, and they remain very minimally educated in what it means to be a father, or what it means to be a son, or what it means to be a neighbor, or what it means to be a good friend. Or we don't have that basic education anymore. And so you find this strange irony. You have people that have a PhD or a doctorate, they're very well educated, but they don't know what it means to be a good son, or they don't know what it means to be a decent parent, etc. Right? So there are two different kinds of education. The kind of education that will get you a good job or will further you in your career is not necessarily the kind of education that will make you a better human being. Those are not the same thing. And this is part of the education of the Quran, is what makes you a better human being, what makes me a better human being. What I want to get straight into is how Allah Azza wa Jal introduces this remarkable episode in the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Of course, Surah Yusuf is in its entirety dedicated to the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. The first thing I'd like you to note is that the story of Yusuf alayhi salam in the Quran is not even 1/3 or 1/4 of what is found in the Bible. The Bible is 4 times longer when it describes the story of Joseph. And the Quran is extremely brief when it describes the same exact story. Why is that the case? Allah Azza wa Jal clearly is not going to tell us everything about the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Unlike Musa alayhi salam, we learn about his story from the time when he was a little baby, when he couldn't even speak yet, all the way through. With Yusuf alayhi salam, we begin when he's already a young boy. Right? So there's still quite a bit of his life missing in the Quran's narrative. Similarly, we don't get a lot of details. Allah doesn't tell us what are the names of his brothers. Quran will not mention. Quran will not mention not even mention his mother directly. Quran will not mention the name of the minister who eventually took him in, or the name of the wife of the minister who's such a central character in the story. None of these people are mentioned by name, locations mentioned exactly. It's not the case, other than Misr in a passing reference. The reason for that is Allah Azza wa Jalla is not concerned with information. That's not what's important for you and me. What is important for you and me are lessons that will guide my life and your life. So He will tell us the information that is relevant enough for us to get the guidance. This is not a book of history. It's not a book of facts. It's a book of counsel. It's a book of maw'idah. It's a book of huda. It's a book of counsel and guidance. And so Allah Azza wa Jalla has changed and very selectively picked small episodes from the amazing life of Yusuf alayhi salam. And every little detail that He's going to tell us in this surah is extremely important, because He skipped a lot of other things and only mentioned these things. So whatever He did pick is of extreme value. Nothing can be overlooked. And so when we begin this story, the first thing that catches our attention is Allah Azza wa Jal says right before this ayah, وَإِن كُنْتَ مِن قَبْلِهِ لَمِنَ الْغَافِلِينَ. He tells Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we're going to tell you the best of all stories. I'm sure you've heard that before. We're going to tell you the best of all stories, but you used to be unaware before this. Not just unaware of the story, But the lessons that are going to be inside this story, the wisdom that's going to come from this story, is something that even the Prophet ﷺ was not taught before this. It is going to be unique. So don't just reduce that, yes, Rasulullah ﷺ did not know the story of Yusuf ﷺ, and that's what's being said. Actually, a lot more is being said. There are things inside of this story that without the story we would have never known that Allah Azza wa Jalla deems important for you and me in our lives. And so where do we begin? Allah Azza wa Jalla describes this young child, Yusuf alayhi salam, إِذْ قَالَ يُوسُفُ لِأَبِيهِ. When Yusuf alayhi salam said to his father, and he's a young boy, we don't know the exact age, but you imagine anything between 8 and 12 years old. This is a young child. And he comes up to his father, maybe even younger, and what does he say to him? يَا أَبَتِ إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا. Dad, and first of all, Ya Abati, dad, and the Arabic word for father is Abi. Ya Abi, my father. Ya Abati, atta tushir ila al-hub wal karam. So it's actually my respected father and my beloved father. It's as though, when we don't talk like that, your kids don't come up to you and say, beloved father, can I have some chocolate? They don't talk to you like that. That's not how we speak anymore. But the equivalent of it would be, Dad, I love you. Dad, give me a hug. I want to tell you something. It's a loving expression of addressing your father. It's not just dad or papa or baba, but it's actually dad along with an expression of love. That's the first thing we learn about this child, is that he expresses love for his dad. And the second thing we're going to learn here is that he came up to him and said, Inni. Inni means, no doubt I. Now the word inna is used, they say in Arabic, لِإِزَالَةِ الشَّكِّ, to remove doubt. So when you're about to say something that the listener will not believe easily, it sounds so unbelievable they might not believe you, that they don't think you're serious. So the Arabs use the device inna to remove that doubt. No, I really mean what I'm going to say. It is as though the child recognizes that what he's about to say is not easy to believe. It's this amazing thing, this crazy thing that he saw, and he's going to tell his dad all about it, but he's thinking, Dad might not believe me. And so he says, no, really, Dad, I really did see this. Inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban. I really did see, in fact, 11 stars, the sun and the moon, wash-shamsa wal-qamar. And it's incredible that the sentence starts over again. And it captures really the reluctance of a child. I mean, I have a lot of children. Alhamdulillah, I have 7 children. And the thing with children is that when they want to tell you something that's exciting or something that happened, they repeat themselves a lot. And they can't even get to the end of a sentence. So a kid something happened on the playground. My son comes running up to me when he's little. He says, Abba, you know what happened? At the slide. I'm like, what happened at the slide? I forgot. You know? A child will actually become nervous and repeat themselves. Yusuf alayhi salam as a child comes up to his father and says, you know what really happened, Dad? I saw 11 stars, the sun, even the moon. But there's more. But he's nervous. And he stops and he starts over again, and the verb is repeated. رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. I saw them doing sajda to me. The verb I saw is repeated twice. It's not mentioned once. Literally like a child saying, I saw it, I really saw it. Like, it's so beautiful and so natural, the way in which he speaks to his dad. The first thing that I'd like to highlight here is that this boy saw a dream. Who did he run and talk to? His father. Our boys have a feeling, have a dream. Forget about a dream. Even something happens to them in reality. Who do they go and run and talk to? And when they want to come and talk to you, Dad, you're watching the news. You're doing something on your phone. And I say, but you know what happened today at school? And then on the playground, and you're like, go tell your mother. And you do that enough times, and you'll notice your son doesn't come up and tell you. Who does he go straight to? He goes straight to mom. The natural inclination, by the way, children gravitate towards their mother. They do. But we're learning something about Yaqub alayhi salam that hasn't even been said. He is the kind of father that has created such a nurturing environment for this child that this child experienced something not even when he was awake, he experienced something when it was a dream, and he can run over to dad and give him a hug and tell him all about it because he knows dad is going to listen. Dad's going to pay attention. He's not going to ignore what I'm saying. And if anything, for children, things that are important to children are not the same as things that are important to adults. When my kid is playing with a bunch of Legos and one of the pieces is missing, his world has come to an end. How about I can't find the hat? And that's a really big deal to him. Now, it's not a big deal to me, but you know what? It has to become a big deal to me because it's important to him. A dream may not be important to you or me, but it's important to this child. It's valuable to him. So he runs over and tells his dad, and his dad doesn't say, "What did you eat for dinner last night, boy?" It's just a dream. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I get those all the time. He doesn't do that. He actually carefully, attentively listens to his son. We're learning something incredible about fatherhood that we did not know before. Quran didn't highlight this anywhere else. It highlights something about how loving a father needs to be to young children, to very young children, to nurture them, to engage them, to be a good listener to them, to sit and just listen to your child. Even if they're babbling and talking about absolutely nothing that makes any sense to you, you still listen attentively as though you're a learner. And your child is, my girls, they talk a lot because they're girls. So, but they talk and they talk and they talk, and they're telling me about this kid and this other girl at school who became friends with them and she's not friends with them anymore, and this one and that one, and there's so many names. It's like an entire ilmun nisa almost, like ilmun rijal al-hadith. There's all these names you have to know and characters, and I have to keep up. I can't just be driving the car and saying, yeah, that's great. Because that's what we do. We don't really listen. The father is actually attentively listening. And how will I know that you and I are trying to live up to the sunnah of Yaqub alayhi salam as immortalized in the Quran when we notice that our children on their own come up and talk to us? Because today, we try to talk to our kids and say, "How was school?" It was okay. What did you do? Things. Who are your friends? Some people. They don't talk to us. But that's not because they're bad kids. It's because we didn't open that door wide open enough. We didn't become their friends first. Children need to be approached and made to feel welcome. In many societies, especially in Muslim societies, the father is supposed to be an authority. When Baba walks into the house, everybody's like, Judgment Day has begun, Everybody stops, even people were happy right before and they noticed the car pull up, Baba's here. And there's just, military attention style, happiness has left the home. You better watch because he gets angry so easily. You don't want to make Baba angry. He had a long day at work. You don't want to say anything because he'll get really upset. This is the legacy of Yaqub alayhi salam. If that was the kind of father he was, would Yusuf alayhi salam ever come up to him and even tell him anything? This story would never have even begun. None of this would have happened. If he wasn't a kind of loving, nurturing father, that's the prerequisite of the first ayah. And then this child comes and tells him this fascinating dream, and what is inside this dream is just remarkable. The language of the Quran, it's so remarkable. On the one hand, the child is reluctant, and he knows that he's not going to be believed, and I told you he used the word inni. إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ. And if you eventually, by the end of the surah, we understand that the 11 stars were actually his siblings. And the sun and the moon represent his parents. And we also know that by the end of this dream, or by the end of getting to this sentence, what he tells his father is that they're going to be doing sajda because of him. They're going to be falling into sajda because of him, which is an extremely humble position for someone to be in. And if you imagine somebody falling into sajda because of somebody else, you would imagine that the person, the masjudun lahu, the person to whom sajda is being done, or because of whom the sajda is being done, is a very important person. So now this child sees a dream in which he is a very important person. But actually, what's even more incredible is it seems from the language of the ayah that this young boy is a genius, and Allah Azza wa Jalla has inspired him in a very special way that he already has the understanding of what the dream means. He didn't come to ask his father, what does this mean? It seems he already knows what it means. This is why he gets to 11 stars, the sun and the moon, mom and dad, and when he gets to that point, he can't even finish, because how can I imagine my mom and my dad humbled in front of me? How can I even imagine that? And then on top of that, those of you that are familiar with the Arabic language, these are غير ذوي العقول. You have the sun, the moon, the stars. These are not living things. And the Arabic pronouns for non-living things are either the feminine pronoun ha, or if you want to do tafkhim and make a big deal out of them, hunna. So the expected Arabic was going to be رَأَيْتُهُنَّ لِي سَاجِدَاتٍ or رَأَيْتُهَا لِي سَاجِدَةٍ. That's the expected Arabic. But the Quran says رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ, which is used only for people. He actually used the pronoun when he says, I saw them doing sajda because of me. The word them is actually only used for living people, for human beings. And so he used a word that already suggests that I know that it's people. It's not the stars and the sun and the moon. That's the genius of this boy. But it's such a small thing, and the father hears it and picks up on it. This kid is special. He's not just special because he saw a dream. He's really special because he figured it out too. He even figured it out. And he recognized all of that from one sentence. Our children have been given lots of gifts. And their gifts, you will discover them by engaging them in conversation. Every child is given a unique set of gifts. Some of your kids are very artistic. Some of your kids are very mathematical. Some of your kids are very analytical. Some of your kids have an incredible memory. They're not all the same. When you engage them in conversation, you're actually discovering what they are hiding inside of them. And you won't know anything about those hidden talents and those hidden gifts Allah has given them until you and I become good listeners. The father becomes a good listener and picks up on the fact that this child is not a normal child. He's special. It's not just so special to see a dream, but to be able to figure that out too. And he knows now immediately that it's people, and 11 stars, and it's people, it's 11 brothers. Oh, sun and moon, that's the parent. And now he's actually told his father the interpretation. In one sentence, the dream and the interpretation. And the father, first thing he does, it's so amazing. And this was the first wisdom I wanted to tell you, open communication between father and son. The second thing that I want to share with you, يَا بُنَيَّ لَا تَقْصُصْ رُؤْيَاكَ عَلَىٰ إِخْوَتِكَ. My beloved little boy, my dear little son, that's how he addresses him. Ibni is my son. Ya bunayya ism tasghir, my little boy. It's also an expression of love. So the child spoke to him lovingly, and the father also responded lovingly. We have to reciprocate love. We have to reciprocate loving expressions to our kids. We have to let them know how much we love them. You cannot say, my dad never hugged me, so we don't do that in our family. You don't do that to children. That is not the sunnah of our prophets, alayhimus salatu wassalam.